Human trophy. Philip Aubrey of Iceland. I was going to put the video up that I made yesterday. I decided not to. He's a guy in Iceland who originally was born in France. None of this is relevant. But anyway, he decided to do a project. He called it the V Project, or VHS Project. Using discarded VHS tapes to create haunting creatures that wander frozen landscapes. Some of them are sculptures, some of them are outfits. It's very 1980s Sting, the police video kind of stuff. Anyway, these images were on the net, and sometimes they would be seen without context. And I found it annoying that when I looked up for the umpteenth time some artistic licensing usage of images, I couldn't find out where the images came from. The Secure, Contain, and Protect, or Secure Containment Procedures, which is the original real name for it, websites, one of which, or several of which in Russia are under attack because Russia allows you to copyright or patent someone else's work as your own without checking. Because assholes. So anyway, it's not really the Russian Federation's fault. They just don't enforce their own rules. They have much more strict rules about this crap than we do in some cases. They're not nice to people who pull this shit because it's considered a form of economic espionage, and they still have economic espionage rules on the books. They're not going to be nice to this son of a bastard. But anyway, specific secure containment and procedure file number, and you have to use Morse code. 2521 is a creature that if you describe it accurately enough, or you verbally do so, or if you record it on a computer, it will know that someone's talking about it and need desperately to retrieve the notation about itself, showing almost an affectionate behavior towards it. The only way to record that particular page was to use ideograms and diagrams and symbols, not using anything that it would understand. It can't understand pictures, so you can easily put up a picture of it. So, of course, the picture is this VHS tape monster that was done by this guy. And now I'm going to bring up the reveal about why I'm doing this as a technician. Dear artists, stop making artistic websites. They're harder to find, and I couldn't find this guy until I literally dug a lot. And the website is so absolutely, aggressively antagonistic to anything other than the latest fucking web browser, and it's always a Mac. Elitism. Stop fucking doing that. But I want it to look good. I can't view the damn thing. It crashes shit. Improve your computer. Fuck you. So anyway, if you're charging thousands of dollars for a picture that is being used all over the net, well, it's a high quality print. You hit print on your computer. Shut up. The artistic work was the video recording, the really spooky, beautiful video recordings. If you're an artist and people say, I really like this, and you ignore them because you want them to buy your bumper sticker, you're an idiot. We don't care about your inner zonk. Okay? Next. Possibly the most awesome image I've ever seen used for an SCP. A creature of the damned. Now, what is its polar opposite? You know, Mr. Glass versus Unbreakable. Okay. The incident for SCP-093. That's the one you want to read. It's on scpwiki.net. It used to be org or com or whatever. It doesn't matter. And what was it? 4 damn pixels. 4 fucking pixels. It's a creature that if it knows that you have an image of it, you can talk about it all you want. You can write up anything. But if you have an image of it, or use pictograms or symbols, literally the polar opposite, it will exceed time-space barriers to find you and kill you. If you are able to visually understand it, even subconsciously, it will find you and kill you. So anyway, this is a collectivist fan fiction awesome website set. There's hundreds of them. And because of its nature, it's better being a socialist collective, yada. But the fun part about this is, of all things, is that it created a standard and a template. Here are the care and handling instructions for this bottle of nitroglycerin. Bang! Don't drop it. Don't do that. Um, this came from form letter forms that are used in bureaucracies for care and handling procedures for literally ammunition, weapons, explosives, and care and handling procedures for data. That's where it came from. And someone thought, what if we turn it on its head and make a really cut and dry, boring thing into something utterly fucking frightening? And the funny part about this one is the SCP tape video VHS tape monster one is one of the most frightening because it is the best one. I've got a link. I think I've got 2 links to different videos, but one of them is the guy explaining, I'm going to tell you a fantasy story and not describe the creature because it'll come and frickin' make us all go away. Because if you speak a description of it, if you're in a group and everybody talks about it, it will show up and make you all go bye-bye. If it takes a piece of paper or a computer or or something else like that with a description on it away, that's not a big deal. But you're being dragged kicking and screaming with tendrils grabbing you like that. It is genuinely more creepy the way it was presented in one video than I can imagine. And then I read the actual text version. The idea here is it's such a cut and dry description of what happens. But this one is literally, you get this sense of tension of, we need to warn people about this, but we also need to absolutely not literally tell them about it. How do you prevent people from doing something dangerous to themselves without telling them what that danger is? This is the only SCP on their wiki that literally mirrors the need to know warning. Loose lips sink ships. Don't talk about things at all unless you need to, and only under a secure situation where no one can overhear it. This is a very simple thing, but loose lips sink ships work. It's also hard to pronounce when you have busted front teeth. But this became a problem. What if you're guarding a location that has such extreme secrets, you're not allowed to know what the fuck you're guarding? They would have to condition you, or really even much more difficult, but safer. They'd have to find people who literally don't give a crap about what they're guarding, but they're going to guard it with their life. Think about that. You could work at a place that was making torpedoes that would be used off of a coastline out of a ejection ported thing at water level. And you have to keep secrets about everything about it. The people who build it and maintain the equipment could never talk to anybody that could be captured. And they couldn't describe what they were talking about, because if you even mentioned that you're one of the people who does work on a torpedo, you're immediately a target for grabbing them. You literally have to have a procedure somehow where you can't describe the fucking procedure sometimes. So you either institute a bunch of draconian rules in an office, that's actually done a lot, or you describe to people in euphemisms and wink wink nudge nudges about it. Like a lot of military people will be told, the reason you don't go into that building is that's not where you're supposed to go. That's designated for a specific group of people that are never allowed to be anywhere else. Or, as happened in college, one of the people there was told, we're going to only give you a list of people that you can never contact for the rest of your life, and if you see them, you're not allowed to talk to them for this many years or maybe forever. And he was alerted later on that it was okay to talk to each other because none of them remembered what the fuck it was. By not talking about anything that happened during the war that they were in, they eventually forgot why anything would be significant. They were not consciously aware of anything. And it would break down to, if I was in downtown New York and I saw a bright red taxi go by, and that bright red taxi is very out of place for some reason. Let's say they're all yellow. And then years later I go to Detroit and notice all the red taxis. Aha, I'm aware that a Detroit taxi was in New York. That doesn't make any sense. It's bullshit, but let's say I said that. If somebody needed to make sure that I didn't know that, they might ask me, have you ever been to any cities? Well, it's like, I have a very limited life. I've only been to a few places, one place on the other side of the planet a couple of times. But the point is, they won't ask me if I've been to Detroit. They would wait for me to say it. Then they might say, we need you to avoid every city that you haven't gone to unless it's only on the West Coast or Central United States. That means I could guess somewhere on the East Coast, a very broad answer. I'm not supposed to be in that city. So I won't recognize, oh, a Detroit taxi was there on the day of a bombing. It might be something secret. Now, that sounds like a really convoluted thing for a conspiracy theory. Now, we're going to do the reveal of the video. Secure, contain, and protect. Secure containment procedures. Containment and security procedures for data and for investigation in forensics. It's not the actual title of the memo. I don't know the entire title of the memo because I made myself forget it. It's not a really good talent, but I can probably dig it up, but I know not to. In order to keep people from accidentally leaking information because they say, oh, I saw one of those once. Where? I was in New York and it was, oh, I can't tell you. Suddenly everybody wants to know what the fuck you're talking about. To keep people from subconsciously going, how do you do it? How do you get people to forget something without knowing what to forget? You can't. I want you to forget a blue meanie with a top hat. Now you're visualizing a blue meanie with a top hat. You're going to do that forever. But if I don't bring it up again, you'll forget it. Or will you? Need to trim those. So anyway, the point I'm making here is SCP-2521, which is normally done in Morse code because it can't understand Morse code. You're talking about me. I'm going to cuddle you forever. Versus SCP-96, where even they removed, yes, their own picture, the picture of it on the website, because it was apparently it was actually derived from some photo of somebody. These are polar opposites of exactly the same problem. How do you inform people that they can't do things or be interacting with things, or it'll be dangerous to themselves and everybody else? And how do you do that without explaining enough of it that it would make a problem? And the more important thing is, which is worse? Something you can only talk about, but you can't have a picture of, or the other way around where you can only have a picture of it. You have a picture of my face, but you don't know my name or all the information. You can't dig up all the data. On the other hand, I could give out all my data and never show my face, and you wouldn't be able to connect the two. Both are required for the person to be compromised. This is extremely common. That's why James Bond is referred to as 007 when it's actually not a person. It's a position and a false entity for multiple serial people occupying that position with a real name they never divulge, with a face that will change over the years to make it to where people forget who they are, because immediately after you get used to this version of James Bond, they swap him out for another person who takes on that alternate identity, and you forget all about him because he ages. Sean Connery today does, well, as of last time I saw him alive, doesn't look anything like the original James Bond character because he aged. Almost an ideal way to protect people and let them retire safely. It's not like this is done in a lot of stories. Oh yeah, the previous Dread Pirate Roberts was another guy. It's a trope. It's an interesting way of doing things. And it, of course, is an example of the same thing. Separability or severability of identity, data, and sources. It's not the medium or the message. It's both. So, hope this has been useful and interesting to some of you. It's totally not going to tie into some sort of alternate reality game I'm involved in. Anyway, if you want to read about the SCP, just go read their articles. You'll get it within a few minutes. They even have a template, which you can use if you want to, adapting it with your logo at work, and make everybody wonder what the fuck is in basement number 1. We don't have a basement. Of course not. And when you write an SCP in gasoline, he shows up and lights himself on fire. Human Tropy, which is the actual art piece, called VHS-1. And you can watch a video channel and video on Vimeo and on YouTube for this. And you can also look it up if you want to. I'm going to include an image search, which brings up many, many more images. Very well done ones, by the way. But again, with the SCP, basically just read them. You'll get it. And again, there might be something really, really subversively useful about this project.